Sorry about that, folks. Had to finish something up real quick, but I am here now. Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. Just, yeah, giving my cat a little bit of attention here. Just chilling. I am gonna get set up a cat cam for the pre-stream. Or for when she's just chilling, hanging out while I'm streaming. There we go. Just get my mic adjusted. Apologies for all of you wearing headphones. Gonna be a little bit of noise for a second while I get this all adjusted. There we go. Probably could have left it muted for that, but there we go. You know, that's just where we are today. Yes, indeed. In the Discord, you can find a link in the description down below. That's where you can sign up for these King of the Hills. I am getting ready to announce my next tournament series as well. I have been a little bit busy over the past week. Haven't been able to get it ready. I was hoping to get it set up for last weekend, actually, but, you know, with the 4th of July and everything, some other things going on, didn't really have time. But here we are. So we're going to be getting started today. We've got Outrage versus Chosen One to start. High Elves versus Empire. So let's jump on into the game. Two assassins fully equipped. I don't know that, well, depending on which assassin you're talking about. The Skaven assassin, I could see you taking a full kit there, but even still, I don't like, it's pretty expensive to take a full kit on both. Knight assassin, his items are good, but I don't think a lot of them are that good. Like, I don't think you would actually take them in a competitive environment. But the Skaven assassin, like Skaven Brew, Rival Hide Talisman, all of his innate abilities as well. Like, obviously you want the character debuff, but like for the Knight assassin, the one that gives discourage is like, you don't really need that against undead or against other certain factions. And with Dark Elves too, more often than not, you're trying to optimize costs so you can bring more units. So I don't know that you would want to bring. Now, one thing I do bring in certain matchups, this is a little bit of a secret. Not really secret, but was shown to me by one of my patrons. You take double Knight Assassin with Marathi. Knight Assassins have Web of Shadow, which is kind of like another Soul Stealer effect. And they also have the character debuffs as well. So you have double character debuffs, double Web of Shadows, and then Soul Stealer with Marathi gives you like 7 Soul Stealer effects over the course of a battle. And then if you bring the Celestial Harvesters, you can even get 1 more and get 8. So against a faction like Bretonnia or High Elves, or even an Empire to a degree, that relies on their heavy cavalry, they can be absolutely devastating to just nuke cav blobs with like Web of Shadows, because you can use Web of Shadows and Soul Stealer at the same time, right? So yeah, the Rival Hide Talisman for sure is the one for with the Skaven assassins, getting that double -40 attack aura against certain factions like Beastmen or Greenskins, like the high attack factions. Absolutely something you want to do, for sure. Yeah, double Knight is good versus Vampire Counts blobs. I could see that for sure. Haven't tried it there, but I could see that. A lot of people will go Flying Master in that matchup. Double Flying Master with Marathi. Along with 2 Black Dragons. It is legal. That is technically legal. It's 5 single entities and 2 monsters. All of them are flying. And that's 5 flying units too, which is your max flying units. So that is technically something you can do. Oh, that's a good joke, Ivan. That's a good joke. I mean, that's just no, but be honest, like, vampire counts are, yeah, I won't get started. That's, I mean, I could play them. I could do a whole stream where I just play them. And in fact, I did a whole month where I basically went undefeated, more or less, playing vampire counts and vampire coast, bringing no lore of vampires. Or, no, it was just no invocation of Nehek, I think? No Nehek November? I think it was with Tomb Kings, it was no lore of Nehekara, right? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, still undead, exactly. And with the most healing in the game. You just have to set up your builds right, honestly. A lot of people don't play with passive healing or correctly. So, anyway. We're looking at the Empire builds here today from Outer Region. We've got Sigmar's Sons, a couple of Spearmen, looks like some, 3 Spearmen, bunch of Empire Knights with the Royal Altdorf Griffiths in the center, Warrior Priest to juice them up with some Faith Prayers, Spearmen here, Jade Wizard protecting the Hammer of Witches, Karl Franz up in the air, so a pretty straightforward build. Not really too much to write home about, a couple of Outriders. This is more or less a meta Empire build, quote-unquote. And then, for Chosen Ones, Elves here, he's got Alariel up in the air with a Flamespire Phoenix. I like that quite a bit. Nice, cheap AP terror. This is vulnerable to something like Pistoliers or Free Company, but the fact that it's cheap means that it's, it's not as big of a loss as something like any kind of dragon or any other Phoenix. We've got a couple of White Lions, some Rangers to help win the front line, a couple of Lothran Sea Guard, Archers, what is this, Dragon Princes, and Illyrian Reavers. Alariel providing some healing. It's an interesting one. There's not really a lot of great targets for her to heal, but she does have Tempest and Shield of Thorns. So Tempest will be good in an air-to-air combat situation against Karl. If Karl gets caught out by Alariel and the Flamespire Phoenix together with that Tempest, they should be able to beat him. It's not a complete guarantee, especially depending on missile support, if they're archers on the High Elf side, or for the Empire, if the cannon's firing in, or if these Outriders can get a good engagement. Likewise, Franz is going to want to try to go to ground as soon as he can, maybe pressure these Reavers away as they kind of charge in here and pressure these Outriders. Or even just dive down a little bit preemptively, maybe start swooping in and diving like these Rangers or the White Lions or something like that. He is currently sitting right in the line of fire of the cannon there, so probably a good idea to move. But you can see, interesting, the cannon opening up immediately on those Lothran Sea Guard does make sense for the most part. Empire Knights should be able to help counter the infantry in the main line, these White Lions, the Rangers and everything. But the Dragon Prince is obviously going to be the best target for Hammer of Witches. Start firing in here. The Flamespire Phoenix there in the background taking some volleys from the Outriders. Now going to charge in. Nope, looks like it noped out of that. But Karl's got to be careful here. Karl Miraz is active, but he's going to pull away very wisely. I'm surprised Chosen One didn't pop that Tempest there to try and hold him in place. I mean, I guess the Warrior Priest is around to provide buffs as well. But mainline engagement going to get going here. This is not necessarily amazing for Outer Region because he's not able to really play with support too much. I mean, his Knights, here they kind of get a little bit of a supporting charge against those White Lions, but these Illyrian Reavers likewise are going to be able to swoop up and around, potentially pressure this cannon here, and like the Sigmar's Sons just ran into some White Lions there, which is really not a great engagement for them. Meanwhile, Karl is just not really getting a good engagement, and the fact that Chosen One's able to kind of avoid, for the most part, any kind of engagement. But here, oh man, Dragon Princes, immediately we're going to get a nice escalation here. Demogryph Knights charging in, healing on both sides, all of the buffs being popped. Getting close and just murderize my frame rate as we appreciate everything that's happening here. Having some magic just completely dropped on both sides. Let's check in. Karl, 104 melee attack, 67 melee defense. Just absolutely redonkulous. Those 89 melee attack Royal Altdorf Griffiths doing a lot of damage. Those Dragon Princes got shredded despite the healing there. Wow, that is very impressive DPS, all things considered. Likewise, Empire Knights cutting into the back line, starting to deal with some of these archers. The Illyrian Reavers are pressuring the Outriders away, but they were not able to get a hold of that cannon very well, to truly shut it down. And in the front line, I mean, the Empire troops are losing, but they're kind of holding enough, right? They're buying enough time at the very least. So this engagement here, the fact that it went so well for the Empire is going to be pretty decisive into the late game. We'll see. These Royal Altdorf Griffiths still very healthy. The cannon has done maybe some friendly fire here, potentially. One of the Dragon Princes is completely done for. The other one, about half HP, give or take. Maybe a little more, but still, those Empire Knights are going to be able to try and catch them. They're now countercharging back to these other Empire Knights. Going to get sandwiched by the Demis here and Karl, so that's a really bad situation for them. Tempest goes off, but Karl's going to be on the ground, so you can see the effect doesn't actually hit him. Fun fact, Howling Warp Gale will in fact hit units on the ground, but Tempest will not if a flying unit is on the ground, so a little bit of a burned magic there. Earthblood looks like on the Empire side, as well as the Hammer of Sigmar there, juicing up the melee attack once again. Danger close fire with the cannon might be doing some damage to the Royal Altar of Griffites. You kind of have to be careful in that type of a situation, but here, this is pretty bad. The Jade Wizard... Is he on foot? Does he count as infantry? Oh man. Actually, it looks like the Ranger's going to push up and shut down the Hammer of Witches instead, which is definitely a pretty good play. Both players kind of scrapping here, and things are looking pretty good at the moment for Outer Region, but it's definitely not completely won yet. This Empire Cav Force is a little bit surrounded here, and is kind of getting bogged down with the cannon continuing to fire point blank. Rangers get in, they're able to do some damage to the crew, but actually look at this, nice charge with the Outriders there, able to come in here and at least kind of shut these Rangers down momentarily, but yeah, that cannon's completely done for, and this is a great pick by Chosen One here to come in and get this Jade Wizard, try and shut down the casting. Those Outriders are going to get terrified away as well. Karl Franz swooping back, trying to get in a position to bail out all these troops, but it looks like it's going to be basically done for most of them. They do rout away. The caster's definitely going to survive. He's got quite a bit of HP left. Those Outriders should come back as well, but Karl's has to swoop down here alone. And in a potentially dangerous situation, Chosen One's going to pull back up into the air with both of his single entities, try and pull around and get a good engagement. Meanwhile, these Knights over here are still trying to kind of disengage from that big blob of High Elf infantry. It's interesting. This is going pretty well, I have to say, for the Empire, for Outer Region. Karl has been able to just absolutely Karl it up. I mean, there's not really a lot else to say. He is the OG Warhammer Chad. Maybe not OG. And back in the day, he wasn't as good as he is now, but yeah. This is, unfortunately, these Royal Altar of Griffites keep getting stopped up. They just haven't really disengaged their models very effectively for whatever reason there. So really need to get, maybe detach some of these spears to go back and screen out there. Karl, in the meantime, is coming to try and deck this Flamespire Phoenix. Looks like a minor slip-up by Chosen One. It does allow him to get an engagement there. But again, these Royal Altar of Griffites, man, just taking continuous DPS, little chip damage, all these units here. But a quick terror route from, I guess, the Altar of Griffites, or one of them in range. I'm not really sure where that terror is coming from, to be honest, but sure. I guess it's the Royal Altar of Griffites. Now Empire Knights can charge downhill there, get a hold of some of these spearmen. I don't think they had their bracing bonus there. Alariel can try and dive in, but with this giant kind of all-together force with the cavalry able to fight with infantry support, it's going to be a lot better for them. Still, though, they're kind of charging in here a little bit ahead, and we'll see. Outriders coming back in. Karl's also just chasing that Flamespire Phoenix for the time being. I mean, the balance power is definitely pretty heavily in the Empire's favor due to kind of the character HP and everything, but I still think that the High Elves definitely still have a chance. All of these Spearmen and Lothar and Seaguard are not going to be easy for the Knights to take out, and the infantry stopping power just isn't really there, so largely it's going to be on Karl and like these Outriders to get the rest of the work done, and this is nice too. The Hammer of Witches crew is back. If they can somehow get back in here, re-secure this artillery piece, then that can get back online. As it is right now, though, Karl's going to get an engagement in the air. 2v1 is dangerous. Both of these single models are low on HP, though. They are going to drop the Star of Averlorn, which does hit flying units, weirdly enough, even though it's below them. And Karl's going to have to just fight here for a minute and try and tank through that damage. But it looks like Alariel, it's not enough for her. Shield of Thorns and the healing, despite all of that, she's still going to get terrified away here, canceling both of those effects. That is an absolute disaster for the High Elves. At this point, the terror of the Royal Altar of Griffites on the ground, because a lot of these High Elf units are low on leadership, that will start to be a pretty big factor here. Typically, High Elves, of course, with their good leadership, it's not so much of a factor, but yep, critical army losses hits, and that is going to be game for Empire. Wow, that was pretty interesting. Interesting builds on both sides. Of course, Karl is, yeah, this is what I would consider a meta Empire army, definitely. Outriders, definitely a solid pick here. No steam tank, which is interesting to see, but the Hammer of Witches, definitely a great artillery piece. Royal Altar of Griffites, absolutely cleaned house, too. 97 kills. 89 on some Empire Knights, 39 there. Pretty good stuff. Chosen One side, Dragon Princes, they can be good, very good in this matchup. Sometimes they're a bit of a tough play, though, because Empire can really decisively win cavalry fights for the most part. Except for maybe against Bretonnia and Vampire counts, but Against High Elves, definitely have the tools to be able to. And White Lions, though, definitely a great pick in the front line along with the Rangers. They cleaned up a ton of state troop kills. White Lions also are pretty decent at supporting cavalry engagements because of their armor piercing, and they're a little bit faster, I think, than some other armored infantry. So, yeah, good stuff. Very, very good stuff. GG indeed. Yep, carrying the day for sure. Absolutely. The Emperor protects. Okay, let's get the next competitor. Looks like we got Guac up next, and then Ice Power is going to be after him. So Ice Power, if you're listening, just be sure to be prepared. And let's see here. Go ahead and get this going. Get the competitors in. Love to see that Empire play. Quality Empire play, definitely. Alright, that is squared away there. 70 kills on unshielded spears. That's pretty impressive. That's pretty against High Elves, especially. They must have got a hold of some unit that got terror routed or something. Pretty good stuff. Yeah, Warrior Priest buffs are a factor as well. Super nice. Warrior Priest is probably the best support hero in the game. Might be the best hero in the game in general, honestly. What do you guys think are the best heroes in the game? I'm just curious. Like, I'm actually thinking about it now. Warrior Priest's definitely up there for me. Like, Skaven Assassin's probably up there as well. Like, I'm just thinking about heroes that are, like, auto picks, basically, right? For the factions that you would bring them with. Bob, you think? Bob's pretty good. That AoE immune to psychology is fantastic. Really, really strong. Waystalkers? Waystalkers are an interesting one. I don't know if they're an auto pick. I like them more than I used to, definitely. I think they're definitely, especially if you're going to face like an artillery build, potentially. You want to try and snipe artillery pieces. They're great for that. Great for sniping Gunnery White. Oh yeah, of course, Flaming Tacos. Gunnery White. You know me. Old Gunny is peak zombie. He is literally the best zombie in the game. Like, there's no Lord level zombies if you stop and think about it. There's only, and Gorse doesn't count. I don't think he's a zombie. I think he's technically still a person, barely. Well, yeah, casters, obviously, but, like, non-hero casters. Goblin Big Boss, for sure. Yeah, I would go about Goblin Big Boss. So, probably Skaven Assassin, Goblin Big Boss, Warrior Priest number 1, then Skaven Assassin, Goblin Big Boss, Waystalker. I'd probably put Waystalker and Gunny. Werekins are okay. They have the same mass issue, just like Gorbald does, though. Let me go ahead and actually get a map locked in before I flap my old flapper too much. Let's go with Herald Ridge. That's. But yeah, I'm actually gonna write this down. For me, I would probably go Warrior Priest, then Gunny, then Skaven Assassin, then Gobbo Big Boss. Maybe. I don't know. I might put Bob up there. Banshee? Noble Chariots. Nobles, High Elf Nobles are really good too, for sure. Nobles aren't as good as they used to be, but they're still very strong. Not as broken as they used to be, I should say. Interesting, yeah, it's interesting to think about. What about, I'd probably put the Sora Scar Veteran up there, honestly. Because he's... I don't know, maybe an honorable mention for the Scar Veteran slash Chief, because they could both take monstrous mounts, which is... I mean, that's not super typical for heroes. Like, some heroes can take monstrous mounts, but... I mean, for Lizardmen, it's all of their heroes can take monstrous mounts, right? Which is huge. I mean, both literally and figuratively. So, I don't know, what do you guys think? I might put the Lizardmen's up there. Paladins also see a lot of use. Runesmith, yeah, Runesmith. Oh man, Runesmith might have to be up there because they're like absolutely essential for dwarfs. Like, this is what I mean. In my top 5, I might even do a top 10 list because there are a lot of really good heroes in the game, but the top 5 have to be like heroes that you automatically take as that faction. Like, you literally take one in almost every single build, right? So, yeah, Runesmiths for sure fit in that category, absolutely. Anyway, go ahead and fade this back, and let's go ahead and have a look. Speaking of support heroes, a lot of other people don't see Gunnery Wights as essential. As essential as I do, I should say, when playing Vampire Coast. Like, typically, let's see, we've got at least one Gunnery Wight here from Outer Regions, so this is 50% approved. If we had another Gunnery Wight, and preferably they should both be on crabs as well, but as it is, we've got Lamprey's Revenge here, pretty solid choice. Looks like a mix of bombers and handguns, along with scurvy dogs, plenty of zombie chaff, and halberds. What is that, a mortar? Yep, a mortar. Gunny, another mortar, and Nocti Boy to deal with cavalry. For Bretonnia, mobs up front with some battle pilgrims. We've got a foot hero squad, Gotrek, the Fae, and Felix. Gonna be grinding. Knights Errant, got Knights of the Lion-Hearted, Knights of the Realm, Knights of the Fleur-de-Lis, all of the ROR Knights, I guess, except for no companions. Interesting. See how this goes. I'm very high on this foot hero squad. Should be pretty interesting. I think yeah, I've used this against a few different factions before, and Vampire Coast don't really... It's interesting. You don't have a lot of great tools for killing Gotrek and Felix, besides, you know, trying to, like, pin them out in the open and mass shoot them or something. Granted, a unit of zombie guns up close, if you can, like, for example, if you got Arnessa and you net Gotrek, and a unit of zombie handguns, or even pistols, just blast him up close, they can do a ton of damage to him, right? But, barring that, and granted, you do kind of have to use the first few volleys, or use some kind of accuracy buff, just because hitting a foot character is not something the zombies are necessarily going to be super great at. I mean, they are just zombies after all, but... Oh, here comes the mortars. Right on the Holy Wardens, best target for them. They're going to do quite a bit of damage there. Noctilus, I'm not sure who he's shooting at. Probably going to be going after the cavalry there, I would imagine. So let's see. Knights are pressing. The Knights are probably going to go... Do the Bombers? The Bombers don't actually deal armor-piercing damage, so we could see the Knights just go directly, kind of plow this first line of zombies, and then try and take out the Bombers because they have the armor. Try and save the Battle Pilgrims a little bit from that, but we'll see. Nice hammering initial charge there. Bretonians are certainly taking some losses for their efforts. Meanwhile, Battle Pilgrims have gotten in, and like here, this is actually kind of a cost-effective trade for Bretonnia because they baited the bombs into the bombers or into the deckhands only for peasant mobs. Here, this is a nice job. Knights Errant are able to immediately get through into the second line. Battle Pilgrim's been broken, but the bombers are now compromised, which is very, very good for Bretonnia. Still more summons, though, and there's still the crabs and the handguns, so still multiple layers of defense left. There are reserves of knights as well, though. You can see Walk doing a nice job kind of keeping some reserves, preserving various units. A nice Awakening in the Wood there to kind of bog those zombies back, keep them from punishing too hard. I don't know, though. I think it's going to be tough for Bretonnia. Where's that foot hero squad? Okay, they're here still. They're still grinding through a unit of bombers. If they can get through and start to go after Noctilus in the backline, that's going to be great for them. And, like, over here, this is awesome. Battle Pilgrims able to get a nice, clean engagement on those deckhands there. And immediately, the Knights Errant are going to be pushing up and getting it. These are all ranged units right here, right? Besides this one unit of halberds. The Foot Hero Squad can also push up and try and keep bogging them down. The Lamprey's Revenge have overextended a little bit trying to chase units off, and as a result, they're not able to protect this back line, so nice job by Guac trying to compromise those ranged units here. A little bit of an overblob, though. Probably want to disengage those Knights of the Realm, try and get maybe a rear charge in on these Lamprey's Revenge. It's tough to say, but Gotrek, Felix, and the Fae now moving in for the kill on Count Noctilus, and he is going to have to duck and run for the time being. This zombie pocket, though, in the center still holding. I'm very surprised how well these bombers are doing. I guess that's partially due to the Lamprey's Revenge there, but nice cycle charge from these other knights here. The other ones kind of just running away, but that's fine. Likewise, these zombies are also crumbled now, so these units can start to push up and pressure. Come on, Knights Errant. Come on, wake up. There we go. Oh, man. Noctilus gets a nice volley there. This is okay, actually. Awakening of the Wood can help thin out this blob here, and the Fey Enchantress's terrain as well is going to be absolutely devastating against this big mass of zombies. Lamprey's Revenge still holding in the center, which is really not great, and these dogs as well have taken quite a bit of damage, but they can be used to chase off some of these routing Bretonnian units here in the late game, but these Battle Pilgrims now running in, they can help to bog down some of these guns and so on, and utilizing the trees for cover there against Noctilus. Very nicely done as he kind of fires in, attempts to get those Knights Errant there. Yeah, I don't know. I think Bretonnia's got... I don't want to call this too early. The balance power is still very, very close, and a lot of these units being pressured off here by these hounds. This is absolutely devastating for Bretonnia, potentially, but at the same time, they've got this back line completely compromised here. Just absolutely bogged down all of the guns. This is excellent use of peasant mobs here. They're going to get in and get this mortar crew and start to attack them, right? Looks like a summon going to be used in response there, but... yeah, the fact that all of these ranged units are kind of being taken out by the Knights are able to keep firing, and here comes the final collapse on the mortars. The Foot Hero Squad, the Fae Squad still being so healthy, not really a lot of good counterplay for them here. I think this is pretty good for Bretonnia. It's hard to say. It's always kind of hard to tell when you're fighting undead. It feels like you're just always losing somehow, but it does seem pretty decent here. Got some collapsing units. That mortar's finished off now. Very nicely done. This other mortar now as well getting charged. And the summoned zombies also just absolutely decimated in that blob. Lamprey's Revenge finally coming back over. And these hounds getting a little bit isolated here now as they attempt to chase these units off. This one's probably going to get charged by that other unit of Knights Errant there. And things are looking pretty decent for Bretonnia. The Fae Squad, oh man, look at Gotrek. You can see him just waving his axe from a mile away, just all excited about everything here. And yeah, Felix would be the best one for taking out the gunnery, obviously, but you definitely want to keep all three of them together, so best not to separate them. Another nice kind of sandwich charge here from these Knights of the Realm as the Lamprey's Revenge come over and try and bail those units out, but probably the crumbling is going to be a little bit too much at this point. And you ever seen Vampire Coast try and kite? Well, looks like Coast is going to try and kite here as best they can with what remains of their ranged units. But we'll see. The Lamprey's Revenge are going to be a tough nut to crack, definitely, as well. We'll take Gotrek probably and Felix and the Fae to deal with them. But as they keep getting bogged down by more and more zombies, they'll just keep blending through them. The mortar crew's gone, and now a nice little rear charge here from these Knights Errant. They don't have any anti-large bonus, but still, that nice charge bonus, they should be able to do some damage, and at the very least, distract those Lamprey's Revenge. Now Gotrek and Felix and the Fae are coming over to try and deal with the Lamprey's Revenge. Indication of the heck on them. Noctilus continuing to shoot. He's got plenty of ammunition still because of the gunnery wight. Despite everything, he's going to keep firing here. And now, looks like another summon there. Unit to summon pistols. The hounds are coming back around as well. Those Knights of the Realm should be able to get in. Their anti-large bonus will do some damage, but cavalry don't trade super well against necrofex, necropheses because of their, necropheses because of their animations and such. But here, Lamprey's Revenge trying to pull up and around through the woods, but that's really not good for them. That's going to significantly debuff their speed, and that means the Fae and the Felix and Gotrek should be able to actually catch up with them, start to deal some damage there, but things are still super close. Balance power to actually turning slightly in favor of Vampire Coast at this point, as a lot of the Bretonnian units are starting to shatter, unfortunately, and, you know, crumbling not really being a thing. It is going to take about 10 years for all of these crumbling units to disappear. So, you know, Bretonnia could try and just continue to chase these Lamprey's Revenge in the meantime. Just continue to gather up this hero squad and keep them going as much as possible. Yeah, keep them on the move. And just wait for the rest of those units to crumble. I mean, it is going to take a long time. It will be, you know, 40 plus seconds for the deckhands to crumble with 400 HP. So a little bit sad there. But like this unit here, going to get an Invocation of the Heck to try and sustain them a little bit longer. This is a summoned pistol here, so at the very least, they should get wrecked pretty quickly. After that summon disappears, it should be a little bit better, but yeah, it's going to be kind of a kiting game at the end of the day for the Vampire Coast, doing their best to try and kite and fight, blast whatever units they can. Yeah, crumbling damage doesn't exist, it's true. It is true. Oof, that was a hit there. Alright, summoned unit is gone. Now, the zombies aren't actually fast enough to kite away from this hero squad. The hero squad will be able to catch them eventually. So, all kind of just depends, but it looks like instead they're going to try and go after this Lamprey's Revenge. Put a little bit of a heal there from the Fae Enchantress. It did not catch those Knights of the Realm, unfortunately, but oh man, some direct friendly fire from Noctilus. A little bit more ammo from the gunnery wight. We'll see. I don't know if the Fae actually has enough healing cap space left to tank through the rest of this. Yeah, from a good fight to a boring one real quick. And that's Vampire Coast for you. Yeah, those Battle Pilgrims are going to get immediately terrified away. Yeah, the handguns can't actually get away here. Oh, they might be able to, since they're only diminished. Ooh, man, the Fae gets blasted right there. Is there a Helping Hands? There is a Helping Hands to try and give the Fae damage resistance. But Gotrek's having an issue with his chase here. Doesn't actually want to hit his charge animation, it looks like. And with the Fae going down, this could potentially be it here. But now there's an actual melee engagement. Oh, Gotrek's going to get a people's elbow right there. Doesn't look like it's enough, unfortunately. Helping Hands does give the Fae Enchantress some damage resistance there. She attempts to get away from this. Felix is just about to give up his leadership, though, and if it's just Gotrek left at the end of the day, I'm not 100% sure. We'll see. Gotrek's going to go directly after Noctilus, it looks like. Oh, gets a good hit there. That will help stabilize things somewhat. I'm not really sure what the Fae is doing, to be honest, though. Kind of just hanging around, getting knocked around by the gunnery wight shot. Man, that's intense. Yeah, people would generally consider them pretty boring, for the most part. I would tend to agree with that. I don't know, they're There's some things about them as a faction that I enjoy, but some things that I definitely do not, so... Yeah, I honestly think what Guac needed was the Green Knight here, because Chosen One actually didn't have any tools for dealing with the Green Knight, right? There's nothing here that deals magic damage at all, so the Green Knight probably would have been a better pick than Gotrek. I know the Foot Hero Squad thing is kind of strong, but I'm almost wondering if you would have done a more traditional, like, Fae with the Green Knight and Gotrek, maybe, or you go Fae, Green Knight, and Paladin. I'm wondering maybe that would have worked out a little bit better. It's hard to say. Maybe you go Albric with the Green Knight, because then you give the Green Knight anti-large, and Albric, he's not nearly as tanky, but at least you have the AoE damage abilities, you know, to try and grind through, but it's an interesting one. Yeah, I almost wonder if he shouldn't have just held one unit of Cav, like, hidden in the woods somewhere until that end game. Even still, though, Noctilus having, like, infinite ammo, basically, because of the gunnery, why it's going to be tough. Anyway, let's go ahead and get the next competitor lined up here. Next, we've got Ice Powers, so we'll get that here. And then after Ice Power, it looks like we've got Happy. Happy Puppy. Let's go ahead and do Pillar of Bone. Alright. Yeah, there's also a unit everyone forgets about that's actually very good in that matchup. Basically counters all peasant units, and can also kill all the knights you need it to, pretty much. Yep. Okay. Looks like we're gonna have Dwarfs versus Dark Elves. Interesting. Dwarfs are an interesting pick here, for sure. Depth Guard? Nah, Depth Guard are just not very good. They get countered by a ton of things. Yeah, they're pretty bad, to be honest. Yeah, it's... Coast are just a strong faction because of, yeah, the healing, the guns. I mean, they've got really, really strong heroes. Noctilus, Harkon, Arnes is even strong in certain situations, like, got, Silostra as well. All of their hero, and the generic lords even, too, are good, so, yeah. Yeah, vampirates they're pretty vulnerable to single entity ethereals. Yeah, like the Green Knight, for example, is a really good pick here, just because most people typically won't bring the right tools to deal with it. There is a little bit of a niche pick here that a lot of people don't pick. I don't really know why, but if Spiteful Shot is actually really good against Bretonnia. It gives accuracy, and magic damage. So if you're shooting at any of the Grail tier units, you can get magic damage. And it also gives magic damage on melee. Is something that you wouldn't really think about because it's an accuracy buff, right? But if you just need, you know, someone to get magic damage while they're fighting the Green Knight, then Spiteful Shot can be a great way to get that. I mean, it's pretty cheap. And it's a little bit better, I think, than Spirit Leech because you can use it on a unit that has high burst damage. Get a lot more value out of the magic than just the damage, the raw damage of Spirit Leech. Yeah, he does need better mass for sure. But if you can keep him from getting bogged down in zombies, he'll do some work, absolute work. Yeah, Albrick is also decent in that matchup on horseback. I would take him. Who else? Lewin on horseback is also okay. He can tank out a lot of damage with the missile resistance of, what's it called? Lion Shield. But in general, it's yeah, it's decently tough. I wouldn't say it's super tough. Bretonnia definitely has a good, not a good, but they have an even matchup there. Loading on a hippo. Yeah, I mean, if you can keep him mobile because of the lion shield, you can keep him alive. It's just tough, you know, to keep him from getting completely destroyed if you have ham fists. But yeah, he can be good if you use him right. It's dangerous though, for sure. Louis, yeah, Louis. I have tried a little bit. Last time I tried it was like several months ago. I've seen I saw they've released some updates since then, so I want to try. I haven't tried since they released the updates, but yes, once it's kind of like in a pretty stable place, I might even start doing a playthrough like soon, you know, on the channel like now, but it's definitely something I'm interested in playing, absolutely. Okay. Alright, and let's have a look here. We've got Dwarfs versus Vampire... No, not Vampires. Dark Elves. And it looks like we've got 3 Bolt Throwers, going to be counter shooting. Interesting. Dark Shards with shields. Got a couple of Executioners, whole bunch of Dark Riders, and a Sorceress of Shadows with Enfeebling Foe and Penumbral Pendulum. Gyrocopters with Brimstone Guns. We've got Miners, the Blasting Charges up front. Rune Lord, a single cannon. Dragonback Slayers, plenty of Thunderers. Rune Smith, lots of Longbeards, Dwarf Warriors. It's a Dwarf build. It is a Dwarf build. Also, I probably should have Streamlabs open just in case. Always forget about this. Okay. An interesting one. The fact that the Dark Shards are here to kind of countershoot the Dwarves is going to be interesting. I'm obviously expecting the Blasting Charges to blast these Dread Spears, probably. Honestly, whatever you can blast Dark Elves is probably going to be cost-effective for the miners. The one cannon for the Dwarfs does outrange, actually, but I think, do the bolt throwers start within range? No, they do not. So right off the bat, the cannon's going to be trying to countershoot, but, I mean, 3-on-1, it's not going to be great, and it looks like the gyro's actually dodging those initial shots as the, oh man, they're going to have to be careful. Looks like their range is just, yeah, these Dark Shards need to move forward. Nicely done. Takes out some of the crew there of that bolt thrower. Takes out some more of that crew there. Did they actually destroy the piece? No, they did not. Okay. They do have to be careful, though, of the Dark Shards. Dark Shards have 125 range. These guys have 100. So they are going to be outranged just barely by the Dark Shards. But the fact of the positioning here, that these bolt throwers are slightly forward, that does mean that the brimstone guns can kind of come in and pick away and doing really nice damage to both the bolt throwers and the dread spear crews, the bolt thrower crews and the dread spears. Spearheads, as they're known in some circles. Oh, it looks like they did blow up a piece. Nope. Not quite. It is pretty tough to actually hit the elf artillery pieces and blow them up because they have such a small profile, but there, one's down. It looks like this unit's probably lost one of the cannons already, so this ranged engagement actually going kind of okay for the Dwarves. These Thunderers have taken a lot of damage from Penumbral Pendulum, it looks like, probably, but yeah, the cannon, I think all 3 guns have been shut down. Yep, all 3 guns have been shut down already, so the bolt throwers winning the artillery fight to a degree, but they did have to expend a lot of resources there, and likewise, they are taking a lot of damage from those gyros. Only 1 artillery piece still online here for this unit. But, yeah, Dawi are going to kind of be forced forward a little bit here. We'll see. Looks like the bolt thrower is still firing. Oh, no, there is 1 cannon left still. Okay, there is 1 cannon left still. Okay, so those guys are going to remount their cannon piece there and continue firing here. Yeah, the bolt thrower's not screening very well, or the Dark Shards, rather, not screening super well for the bolt throwers here. Means that a lot of them do take damage. And, a bit of a bait blasting charge there. The Supreme Sorceress able to come forward and bait one of the full volleys of blasting charges there from the miners, seeing that those are on fire at will, and that basically negates most of the value potential there. I mean, they can still, still get some work done in melee, but drink a little bit of water here. This is interesting. This is kind of not a typical shootout that you would see, but Brimstone guns are such a fantastic unit for the Dwarfs. All the gyro units are really, really good right now. I don't know if this is actually cost effective, though, trading 3 Brimstone guns ammunition. I mean, they are each individually more expensive than the bolt throwers, so I don't know if this is actually cost effective. I guess they still have their bombs potentially to rain on infantry, which can help pay a little bit extra. Nice. They could, honestly, all just focus fire immediately on this Supreme Sorceress that's far forward here with their anti-large damage. They would be able to do a lot to her. The fact that she's kind of overexposed here, maybe just forget about the bolt throwers for the time being and just focus in on this Supreme Sorceress. But looks like the cavalry here, these Dark Riders, were able to come in and get a pretty good engagement using their good charge bonus to get on those Thunderers there and start to deal damage to them. Brimstone Gun's going to turn around and respond. It looks like the Supreme Sorceress, kind of realizing that she was a little bit far forward there, is going to pull back. More blasting charges being thrown in, absolutely wrecking those Sat Spears. And yeah, that's going to be pretty good. It does look like the Argonath Executioners are going to be able to get in, mostly unopposed, though. And that is pretty critical here as the backline's being defended by Slayers. Rune of Wrath and Ruin plus Slayers equals lots of dead Dark Elves, which is what we like to see here. Yes, I'm biased against Elves in general, but the Thunderers firing into the side of the Argonath Executioners here. This is a really nice situation for them. They should be able to get some really cost-effective damage there. These other Argonath Executioners, oh man, here comes the bombing runs. Cue up the Ride of the Valkyrie. Oh yeah. Maybe not quite as effective as it could have been, but hey, there's something there. Nice. Oh yeah. That's what I like to see. Some beautiful bombing runs. Doing a whole bunch of damage. And now the gyros move down into melee. Oh, another little bombing run right there. Gyros now moving into melee to keep those dark shards bogged down and not allow them to continue firing, which is honestly pretty decent in some ways. The Hargneth Executioners are causing some serious problems, though. The fact that a lot of the tools that were meant to deal with them were silenced early on in the battlefield, and credit to Ice Power here kind of playing to his win condition to a degree, understanding that those Hargneth Executioners can kill most of this dwarf army by themselves as long as they don't get shot up too much. And right now, I mean, it was maybe a good idea to bog down with the gyrocopters, but those gyros need to use some of their ammunition and stopping power against these Hargneth Executioners. Their kind of armor-piercing missiles will do quite a bit to them, but they don't have much left in the tank. And, yeah, it's looking pretty dicey for the dwarfs, all things considered. I mean, counter-skirmishing as well with all of that ammunition. They ended up actually wasting quite a bit and not being able to counter the Hargneth Executioners there. Yeah, the dwarfs kind of... this is a good example of keeping your win condition in mind. The dwarfs just, I guess, I'm not really sure, forgetting about the Hargneth Executioners, expending their tools to try and deal with other pertinent threats, which obviously makes sense, but at the same time, now these Executioners are more or less unopposed. Let's see here. Yeah, 140 kills on an XP Chevron there. These guys, 120 kills, closing in on another XP Chevron. There's not a lot the dwarves can do about it. Slayers now rushing in the center here, trying to help support this final engagement. Maybe if they can get a good surround on these Hargneth Executioners, and with the heroic support as well, maybe they can try and finish them off here. The Brimstone guns are doing their best to keep these Dark Shards zoned and try to use up the last of their ammunition. It looks like finishing off the Supreme Sorceress there, but a handful of Thunderers getting a few volleys on those Executioners, but they've only lost 4 models out of their entire four models out of their entire model count there, so that is impressive. Yeah, this is one of the few situations where Greatsword Infantry will absolutely just clean house very effectively. The Age of Reckoning, indeed. Indeed, as this final unit of Executioners charges in the side, gonna wrap up the Longbeards and the Slayers there, and that is going to be absolutely brutal. Up to 167, oh man, and climbing, 180 kills. A little bit of a charge bonus there, factoring in quite a bit, and now the Dark Shard surround getting pretty real. Feebling foe on those gyrocopters, and then, oh man, they still get an XP Chevron against the Supreme Sorceress, which is kind of nice, but now they're going to get rear charged by Dark Riders, and yeah, this is it. These Executioners just cleaned this engagement, no problem. Now finishing off the last of the Slayers and the Rune Lord. Yes, indeed. Druchii blood flows, and we love it. Those Executioners, man, that's it. That is it. Yeah, it's not super common that you see Executioners just work the matchup, but they pretty much won this. The fact that Outer Region kind of expended a lot of his resources counter-skirmishing the Reaper Bolt Throwers and, you know, going after some other targets, then the Hargneth Executioners were able to come in more or less unopposed, and credit to Ice Power, excuse me, you know, using the Penumbral Pendulums during the skirmish fight to target the Thunderers there. You know, while Outer Region's busy microing his Brimstone guns, you know, kind of finishing them off in the midpoint of the battle, not necessarily finishing them off, but making them more or less combat ineffective, allowing those Executioners to get in mostly unopposed there. Very, very well done. That is textbook win condition style play. So GG. Yeah, wow. Tons and tons of kills. Cool, cool, cool. I guess I could put the overlay up. Go ahead and get that going here. And that's been, what, 3 games? Or chosen one? There we go. Yeah, 362 kills by 2 units. Oh yeah, that is just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Okay, sorry, I just had to get something sorted out real quick. Longbeard's buff incoming. Oh, man. Honestly, Longbeards with great weapons could do with a little bit of a melee attack buff, because their melee attack is so low, you really don't get much value from the armor-piercing damage. But anyway, let's go ahead and get a map locked in. Go ahead and do... That one looks kind of bad. Sure, we'll do this one, Valley of Thieves. Does he only have 2 wins? Thought that was a 3rd. Let's see, if I look back through, he got win versus Empire, right? Yeah, chosen one, win versus Empire, and then he won versus Bretonnia, and then this one was versus Dwarfs. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Yes, that's correct, Ice Power. Yeah, you're not allowed to take the same faction twice. That is correct. Cannot play the same faction twice. All right, all right. Let's see what we can do here. It's like Ice Power's gonna go Empire. Oh wait, no, Outer Region won that. Wait. What? Oh, whoops. Sorry guys. I am It's been a long day. It's been a long day. Okay, let's see. Let me double check through the stream. Yeah, it's outer regions on 2 wins. Oh, my bad. Yeah, I'm confused. I haven't had my coffee yet. Okay. I read something and then it just like came in my mind. And anyway, what's up, Sotek? Hey, Sotek, I sent you a question on Discord a while back. I don't know that you ever responded, but I need a chat with you. I have some lore-related questions for a video, but yes. Did you know that Durthu loves Alario? Oh, interesting. Okay. So with that, Outer Region becomes our wins leader, I guess, right? Okay, let me actually think about this and try my best to keep track. Okay, and then current king then changes to 1 win. That will be Ice Power. Nope, not that. Here we go. Okay. Okay, there we go. What? Why did that go? Wait, there we go. Okay. OBS is trolling me right now. Cool. Coffee's free at work at the moment. Nice. I got an extreme coffee addiction for a while I was working graves at a call center, at a 24-hour call center. I was on the night shift and I got super addicted to coffee. Because they had free coffee just out all the time. At all times. It was a lot. It was a bit much, if I'm being honest. 20% off? Oh, man. Yeah, I also haven't been sleeping super well lately, but that's a story for another day. Okay. You guys are getting their army picks locked in. Of course, Happy Puppy has a Twitch channel, for those of you guys who don't know. Should check her out, Wicked. If you can drop a link there, it would be much appreciated. Alright. Looks like the ban rule's getting some translations. Nice to see. And these guys are ready, so once again, High Elves versus Empire is a pretty common matchup, as these are two factions that match up very interestingly against each other. They're two kind of sort of balanced factions, so to speak. Here we are in the desert, only a handful of obelisks for cover. And these massive dunes, one on each side. Let's see how they get on. Look at this little press box right here. A little fallen over, but that's okay. Love the Tomb Kings, man. So cool. Bad there aren't any here. Aesthetically, at least. They are filthy undead still. Let's be clear about that. Anyway, we've got tech lists here. A couple of Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers, Archers in the front line with Lothern Sea Guards, Illyrian Reavers, Silver Helms, and Spearmen. And, yeah. We've got also on this side for the Empire, Volkmar the Grim, Light Wizard, Spearmen. We've got Flagellants, Handgunners here. Couple of Great Cannons, Empire Knights. It's a build, as they say. It's definitely an Empire build. I like the Unbreakable front line. Flagellants, I'm not the biggest fan of. I would prefer to see the Regiment of Renown if you are going to bring them. But Free Company, definitely a solid pick. Oh, Handgunners, I mean. Would be consistent DPS with the nets, too. This is something you don't see a lot anymore, but this is a very, very classic combo. Nets and guns. Also got... Oh, yeah. Tell us how you really feel, Mr. Light Wizard. And his texture actually looks really nice now. Look at that. Look at that wheel. Look at that wheel. I kind of want to get a tattoo of that. I'm not going to lie. I have been really considering getting the Wheel of Magic as a tattoo recently. What do you guys think? Maybe I'll make a patron goal that if I reach by the end of the year, I'll get this as a tattoo. But, like, all things considered, man, his beard and everything, too. Like, look at the wrinkles on his face. Man, these models have come a long way. Anyway, he's got, what, Foz Protection, Barona's Time Warp, and Net of Ammontox, so... Netting some high-value targets will net some value. See what I did there? There's not a lot of really high-value targets to net, though. Just a couple of Silver Helms. Bolt Throwers, not going to need to be netted, obviously. The artillery fight is going to largely come down to RNG, but in theory, the cannons, because they're superior range, should be able to outtrade the Bolt Throwers, so... Nice, small spaghetti. Yeah, Lady Turin's, I've been thinking about getting a commission, something for her that I can hang in the background for when I get my webcam set up again.
Fight for the Phoenix King.
But, yeah, I want to get some Warhammer-themed tattoos, honestly. It depends. It's kind of personal preference. For me, I like... It depends, like, how much you want to allocate to your skirmish corps, right? And this is what I think about when I'm as an Empire player. Like, do I want to have to... like, do I want higher tier knights, for example? Or do I want to spend a little bit more on maybe wider or more elite infantry? Or maybe I want to grab a couple of extra heroes. And in that case, I might swap the handgunners out for... crossbowmen. Like, for example, I don't know the math exactly, but let's say in theory you swap these 3 handgunners out for crossbowmen. You might have enough gold to buy a witch hunter, right? Which then would give you the accusation debuff to sunder armor and, you know, melee defense and missile resistance, and then the crossbowmen might even be better than the handgunners at that point, depending on the unit you're shooting at in some other situations. But here, what is this going to be? Overcast net? I'm not really sure. These handgunners... Oh, man. This net might be a little bit late here, but it does manage to catch both of the Illyrian Reavers and the Silver Helms here. But definitely those Spearmen want to run in for melee support there. That net's not going to last that long. Meanwhile, on the front line here, Rangers trading decently with Flagellants. It's going to be a kind of an atrocious back-and-forth trade, but Volkmar comes forward to start disrupting. Archers counter-firing here very well on those Spearmen. And, oh man, Teclis comes forward. He says, I'm a mean high elf. My stats are better than yours as a mage. So, sends that Light Wizard tumbling twice. Meanwhile, way over out there in the boondocks, the Illyrian Reavers got caught by some Empire Knights. It's going to be very, very bad for them. But already, things are looking pretty good for the Empire. I have to say, the High Elf line, Volkmar is just such an absolute menace to have to deal with. That being said, the handgunners are also getting compromised a little bit in the back line here. This bolt throwers both are trading pretty well into the cannons at the moment. The cannons are busy shooting at High Elf cavalry across various zones, so we'll see. Right now, it's looking pretty even still, if not slightly in the Empire's favor because of Volkmar. But over here, these Illyrian Reavers are able to kind of disengage and get away there, and these Empire Knights way overextending here, getting very far away from anything useful. Yeah, the infantry, Volkmar helping to swing this infantry fight was absolutely massive. Nice Flaming Sword of Ruin here, going to give it a little bit of a damage spike to those White Lions as they try and fight the last of the Sigmar Sons there, but going to be a little bit tough. Shem's Burning Gaze, was that? Interesting. I didn't think... Did someone have Shem's Burning Gaze? What was that? Scorch? Okay, yeah, it was Scorch. That makes more sense. But, oh, man! The High Elf Lord just straight up goes down here. Teclis just getting absolutely wrecked by Volkmar. And that should be a pretty quick victory for the Empire. A lot of the High Elf forces are going to want to rout after that. And, yeah. Pretty decent counter build, I have to say, for what the High Elves had brought. Yeah. Double Bolt Thrower, it's just a kind of a weird position to be in against the Empire when they have two cannons. Like, they just kind of outclassed in that way. I think maybe it would have been in Happy Puppy's interest to try and play back and play off of the Bolt Throwers a little bit more. Try and protect against Volkmar. She didn't really have that many great tools for dealing with Volkmar, unfortunately. But, yeah. Yeah, there's a handful of Silver Helms here and some other units. Not really a ton of armored units in total, but it's kind of a wide High Elf build. The issue is it lacks a lot of real true punching power. Like, there's no, you know, last time, like, we saw Alariel up in the air with a Terror Bird, with Fire Pigeon, Flamespire Phoenix, and in this build from Happy Puppy, there's no terror-causing units whatsoever. It's just kind of like a wide elf build, right? So I would say you probably want to try and come in here and maybe you just bring only caster with Manticore summons, because Teclis has so much Winds of Magic, you can totally just throw both of those Manticore summons and still have plenty of Winds of Magic left over for everything else. Likewise, there's not really a lot here you would need to heal with Regrowth, so you might even just go up ahead and take, instead of Teclis, and in order to go even wider, you could take a caster with Lore of Beasts, right? An Archmage with Lore of Beasts, and then you're not going to get as much Winds of Magic, sure, but you can do the two Manticore summons and then either use buffs or you can use Flock of Doom to just generate more DPS, and then go even wider, right? Maybe grab like a couple more units, grab a self-healing Terror Bird. Tough to say. Tough to say. GG, though. Volkmar is so unnecessarily tanky. It is necessary, though. I mean, look at that mustache. It's totally necessary. Anyway, let's go ahead and get the next competitor lined up here. We are moving right along. Looks like King of the Dead up next, and then Wicked after him. All right, all right. Go ahead and get the next map locked in, and there we are. Yeah, Carl is good, but Volkmar has been meta ever since they changed Soulfire, in my opinion. He's just so strong in most matchups. He's so strong. It's crazy. Like Skaven? Oh man, Skaven have a nightmare dealing with Volkmar. Okay. Looking good, looking good. Yeah, I would put Volkmar up on my top 5 best lords list, probably. He'd be probably one of the only non-caster lords on that list, too, because that's how good he is. Yep, Soulfire, the high mass, the fact that he's unbreakable too is absolutely massive because he won't ever rout, right? The self-healing, the resistances, stacking resistances. I mean, it's just absolutely bonkers how strong he is. Yeah, the Volkswagen has no brakes. You know it. You know it. Right, Teclis and Alariel are way weaker than Tyrion or Imrik in campaign. Imrik in campaign is really good once you get all of his dragons. And if you're a good player, you can pursue those dragons pretty aggressively in the early game. And once you get a doom stack of Imrik with like all of the dragons from that rolling, and it gets so silly. You could just destroy the entire Southlands and Badlands, burn it all with fire. It's so good. Tyrion would be good against Volkmar. Tyrion's decent against Volkmar, yeah. The issue is that he can't stop Volkmar, and that's the real issue, is in order to pin Volkmar in place, you really have to pin him with, 3 or more single entities, in a triangle, all from different directions. That's really the only way, or with monstrous infantry, if you surround him with monstrous infantry, but obviously High Elves don't have any monstrous infantry, so yeah, I would say the best way to defeat Volkmar is multiple single entities fighting him in a surround. That's really the only way of sniping him. But more often than not, best way of dealing with him is just to try your best to control him, while also ignoring him and killing his army. Yeah, Volkmar gives him the fight. Yeah. I wouldn't put Arcan in my top 5. No, I would put strictly Legendary Lords only, because otherwise the Blood Dragon comes into the conversation. Volkmar, probably. Maybe Luther would be up there as well as a non-caster Lord. Malekith and Mazdamundi. And maybe Teclis now instead of Alariel, honestly. Malekith is really good. You don't see him quite as much anymore, just because people like to meme and bring other lords, but Malekith is super strong. He is usually, not always, but usually the best pick for Dark Elves in every matchup. There are some matchups where Marathi, especially on foot, might be better, but most matchups, I would say, you're gonna want Malekith. Why Malekith? Well, because he's a powerful monster caster lord, right? He's a powerful fighter. He's got physical resistance. His items are insanely strong against casters, especially, but just in general, he's got really good items. He's very expensive, but a monster caster lord in one that has self-healing with Soul Stealer. And Soul Stealer in particular is a really good spell. One of the best spells in the game, probably. So, yeah, that's why I would put him up there. And for similar reasons that Teclis and Mazdamundi, Teclis now with his Terror Bird, they're monster caster lords. They have even more Winds of Magic, though, and arguably better spell selection. On the Stegadon, for sure. Malekith on, Mazdamundi on the Stegadon, for sure. But either mount, honestly. You kind of have to take all of the mounts into consideration. Malekith has a Chariot mount, too, which a lot of people forget about. The Lizard Limo. Pretty decent. But then, yeah, Teclis on any of, on the horseback, I should say, or on the Terror Bird. Volkmar, obviously, and then Harkon as well. I don't know. Lokir, Durthu, Tic-Tac-Toe, Elithnar repents. Going good, man. Going pretty good. Been going super ham, you know me, on the multiplayer. Yeah, I would say Monster Caster Lords kind of by default tend to be the best, but Volkmar and Harkon, for similar but different reasons, transcend that Monster Caster dynamic, and as pure, non-caster lords are able to transcend Harkon, the fact that both of them are ridiculously tanky. Let's get out of the way first. And both of them are functionally unbreakable as well. Fun fact, Harkon, because of his magic resistance, and because he has such high leadership, he is impossible to disintegrate, basically. And yeah. Oh, he's really good in multiplayer. He's really, really good in multiplayer. Like, in most of the highest level tournament games, you see Malekith when Dark Elves are being played. And the thing is, especially if you're playing like a kite build too, because he can charge, he's fast enough that he can support, kiting units like your chariots and your bolt throw, or whatever, dark shards, not dark shards, mounted dark shards, whatever they're called. Dark Riders with crossbows. Like, he's fast enough that he can support those mobile engagements, charge down. Soul Stealer helps bust up cav blobs, right? So there's like a very specific role for him in those high-level kite builds, where Marathi just, because she doesn't have the terror and quite as much punching power, like especially with the splash attacks, Malekith just ends up being a little bit better in that role. So yeah, that's kind of the, like, if you go back and watch, not the previous Ever Chosen, but the Ever Chosen before that, there were some games with Felcon versus Flaxen Soothsayer, I want to say, where there was Malekith used in a kite build. I think it ended up losing, but that was more because of monster RNG than anything else. But yeah. Yeah, Malekith can hard carry games if he's not dealt with. That is true. Anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at the build here. King of the Dead has brought Silostra's faction, which means he gets double Damned Paladin, which are pretty decent. These are kind of like discount Green Knights in a way. They're ethereal paladins with a bit of anti-large, decent charge bonus and stats. They obviously cause terror. And have Strider. We've got zombies up front, second line of gun mobs. Looks like, handguns and pistols, probably? No, 5 handguns. Oh yeah, there are some pistols. A couple of Mongols. Got some halberds in the back. What is that, single carronade? Yep. Against vampire counts. Very interesting. Got graveguards up front. Second line of skeleton spear. Sorry, zombies up front. Second line of graveguard. Third line of spears. And what is this? Double goose with a Hellsteed. Lamian. Very interesting. What do we got here? We got Raised Dead and Zombie Summons, as well as Lightning Reflexes and Seduction. Black Knights here. Then there's some Vanguard units scattered around, Hounds and such. Interesting. No Corpse Carts, no Mortis Engines. Just kind of an infantry rush build with some monsters in the air. I am not super familiar with this matchup because I tend to avoid undead versus undead like the plague, but let's see how it goes. I'm interested to see. Terror, yeah, so useful against the vamps, yep. Yeah, super useful. You know. We'll see. I'm guessing Coast has a few advantages here. There were no corpse carts brought, which I definitely think is a mistake. Like, even the 250-point corpse carts, they're missile sponges, right? They'll soak missiles for pretty cheap, and they also buff up the rest of your troops once you do get into melee. I can kind of understand not bringing them, but Lamian and the Terror Geese are swinging way out wide here, just super, super wide, not really wanting to get shot up by that cannon, which I can understand, but this unit of Hounds here might be able to get on this carronades and take them out. Let's see. Let's see if King of the Dead has noticed them. Right now, most of the supporting units actually moved off there, And it doesn't, like, he definitely saw the hounds on this side, but oh man, I don't think he's seen. Beautifully done. Ice Power is able to get in and get on this cannon, start to crumble the crew very, very quickly. These dogs will absolutely eat the zombies for breakfast, and look at that. Just like that, the cannon crew's pretty much done for. Oh, they disintegrated. Nicely done. Very nicely done. King of the Dead not quite able to respond in time to stop that, and now the cannon's offline. Now, you know, the Vampire Coast can take their sweet time. You know, it looks like they're going to YOLO in anyway, but beautiful pick. Great use of those units. And the gunfire is pretty real on the zombies. Zombies shooting zombies is what we'd like to see. It's a lot of guns versus vamps, yeah. Against a faction which can disrupt your missiles and shut down your missile line very quickly. It's an interesting choice. Right now they're doing very well though, and Ice Power's a little bit late with his support here. You can see that, like, even these Graveguard, they actually haven't taken a lot of damage. Wow, I'm surprised. I thought they took a lot more damage on the approach there. But here comes the Lamian. Going to be using probably some of her damage resistance buffs and other things to try and come through and start summoning zombies in this back line here. The Black Knights are also coming through. And that Goose, though, the Goose is taking an absolute beating. And keep in mind that Terror Goose breath attacks does count as magic damage. Go ahead and have a look here. Oh, come on. Let me get the unit card. There we go. No! I want your unit card, Goose. Here we go. It does count as magic damage, right? So these geese can actually almost one-shot. I think, maybe not with the Paladins having about like 3,000 HP, but right now they've come down to get a melee engagement against the guns, which kind of makes sense. You know, they're trying to keep them from firing, but I would have liked them to like to have seen them maybe stop off for a quick breath attack against those damned Paladins. Not a lot of people actually know about that interaction, but it is true. The geese have magic breath attacks, can deal with those damned Paladins very, very quickly, but as it is right now, one of them's got absolutely smashed. The dogs coming through here, getting some pretty good engagements. The Black Spot do have anti-large against the Black Knights here, who are coming in to shut them down, so that actually isn't going to be too terrible. And as it is, I don't know, this is kind of just, at this point, it's undead grinding on each other, which is not great. And the missile advantage of the Coast will kind of come into play here. Lightning reflexes. This Lamian is stuck now all alone out there, which is not great, but the two geese come down. They're absolutely going to wreck this unit of Mournguls. Very nicely done there, trying to keep them, you know, combat ineffective. But yeah, this Lamian is in trouble. Definitely in trouble here, and the Hounds, although they've managed to mostly pay for themselves going after guns and, you know, artillery and so on, they do need to try and get free if they can. Try and maybe screen out this Lamian. Let's check in. She's, yeah, she's not doing well in terms of her HP, and she's stuck on all of these thick zombies here, so I don't know. She might just straight up get killed here. If she goes down, that is GG for Vampire counts, and it does look like she is going to get killed. Yep, she's done. Wow. Some really interesting plays back and forth. Yeah, I don't think, obviously, that Ice Power expected her to go down so quickly there, but the Black Knights definitely could have gone back and tried to screen out the zombies to spring her loose. We'll see. I mean, a lot of these units are going to regenerate innately, but likewise, the crumbling damage now for the Counts will start to kind of give them consistent DPS. Ice Power's going to go ahead and withdraw there. Yeah. Overcastification still crash games? I don't think so. I don't know. I haven't had it crash any games in recent patches, but yep. Ice Power unfortunately losing his Lord there, but he did get another win. So he is now tied for wins leader without a region. Right, he got a win against Happy Puppy there. Let me make sure I'm getting this right, like last time. Yes, okay. So, that means we move over here and go. There we go. Both of them now tied for wins leader. And we move in here with King of the Dead. That looks very inappropriate. So I think I'll leave it. All right. Cool, cool, cool. Go ahead and get this going now. Oh, looks like King of the Dead's got to run. So that's fine. Let's go ahead and get the next ones in. Okay, so looks like Ice Power is gonna stay. Well, nope, never mind. Okay, yeah, let's do that. Let's do, next up is Wicked, and let's do this. And then I'll do also next Red Legion. Or we can have Ice Power go again. It's really not a big deal at all. Yes. Just yes. We'll just go with the yes. That's fine. Although it will reset your score. That does not count as a win. So, yes. Alright, let's go ahead and switch over to Toothgrass Hill. Yeah, I never really played StarCraft. No, Warcraft 3 even, like, I played like some of the MOBAs. Like, I didn't really play... Yeah. I didn't really play, like, Dota or even, like, Warcraft 3 multiplayer. I mostly played some of the other MOBAs, some of the other custom MOBAs, like... There was a Zelda-themed one. There was a Lord of the Rings-themed one I used to play. Upgrade his control groups. In special stream sniping shop. Very nice. So, like, he went Greenskins, banning counts, and coast. Very nice. Very, very nice. I'll be right back. Yeah, yeah. Total War, Warhammer has a little bit of a smaller community, so there's less people that are just ridiculously good. There still are some people that are ridiculously good, but it's a little bit easier to be competitive because there's less people. Yeah. Yeah, Total War is a lot more about... I mean, army composition you pick beforehand, so you still can screw up your build, absolutely. And in some ways, it's almost easier to screw up your build because you don't have like a set order, right? I mean, some matchups are pretty linear, but there are other matchups where it's very dynamic, and so you can bring a good build and still get countered just on build alone. But yeah, Total War is a lot more about positioning and I don't know. It just doesn't require quite as many actions per minute. There's not the whole base building aspect on top of it, and it's just different. Yeah, it's different. Well, Total War does have Koreans, but they have kind of their own tournament scene for the most part. Not really like a unified world tournament scene, and their tournament scene, from what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong about this, I don't think it's as big as in the West. 50% of the win is on the building screen. Exactly, yeah. It's a lot of decision-making ahead of time, and then positioning is huge as well in Total War, like deployment, where you deploy and how you deploy, and then, you know, where you position your units is, like, super, super important. The maneuver part of Total War is, like, it's really like 3 phases, right? It's picking your army, maneuvering your army, and then actually fighting. And all 3 of those are critical in Total War. Warhammer has panic confusion on a slower scale. Yeah. That's a good way of putting it. Looks like we got Volkmar again for ice power. This time Empire Knights, a cannon, spearmen. Yeah, Flagellants, Sigmar's Sons, 3 handgunners, so it looks very familiar. Light Wizard to the build that we saw before. This time against Greenskins. And here we are, we've got Bob leading his troll squad. We've got up in the air Azag, the Slaughterer, Warlords, Lads, Goblo, Wolf Rider Boys, Despicable Lurkers here. Got some, Despicable Lurkers, and, yeah, Orc Lads, some more Despicable Lurkers, and Gobs. Thanks, Big BJ Pan. Thanks for the like. Appreciated. Bob's squad, obviously, is a very, very strong pick. Azag is a little bit risky here. He's high micro, but he can be super good against the Empire. I actually think Azag's probably the best lord now for the Greenskins. It's hard to say. He didn't bring any of his support items, though, which I think is a little bit of a mistake. I definitely bring him with the support stuff, but we'll see. Kark is the best Korean guy. Yeah, he's really good. There's a lot of really good Russian players. There's a lot of really good, yeah, German players, too. Yeah, a lot of decent players are German, for sure. A lot of American players, too. A lot of really good American players, obviously. England, too, I would say. There are quite a few British and Belgians and Dutch. For whatever reason, maybe because Dov is like a Dutch name, I guess. I didn't even know when I created the channel name, but I have a lot of fans in Belgium and the Netherlands. Yeah, CA's never going to nerf Soothsayer. Look at this wide Gobbo build, though. They are definitely taking their time, taking the high ground, sweeping down. Thankfully, the Night Gobbos being stalked and hidden will be quite good, but I would say for Wicked, he wants to keep these Stone Trolls close to this center of the main line. Otherwise, Volkmar is going to come through and just roll shop over all these lads here. That's going to be bad for them, obviously. But right now, maneuvering up and around the flank there. Let's see, the 8-peak loons might just YOLO in and try and get like a really devastating, what's it called? The Fanatics cast here. Got a couple of wolf chariots also. Pretty wild pick. Will help with the anti-infantry component of this army. Have to be careful of the guns though. Ooh, they might stray just into range a little bit here. Oh yeah, you gotta be careful of those handguns, man. And the Empire Knights, too, trying to maybe bait them out a little bit here, it looks like. Now all these forces forming up. Mangy Marauders have taken a little bit of damage from the cannon, but all things considered, it's pretty nice on the approach here. Oh man, and this could be a really good engagement for these Skulkers. Coming directly in behind those goblins. Smoke bomb. Oh yeah, they do get the smoke bomb in time, but the Skulkers unfortunately ate the charge directly there. The Empire Knights, are they going to try and pull away though? It does look like they're not really getting that great of an engagement. Definitely losing very hard there. Meanwhile, Night Goblins pushing up and into the back line. The Wolf Chariots also come in here without having taken any volleys from the handguns. They're actually going to punch through into the second line directly and go after those handguns. It looks like responding now with the Net of Amantok does manage to grab both of those Wolf Chariots, but that means the rest of this push is completely unopposed here. Volkmar did come through, plow down one of these Orc boys as to be expected, but yeah, these despicable lurkers, the Night Goblins there. Oh man, look at that Fanatics cast. Oh, this is going to just decimate. Actually, didn't do as much damage as I would have hoped. That's kind of disappointing, I have to say. But yeah, the Wolf Chariots did a great job there. Now the Stone Trolls also moving in up on this side, having taken basically no damage whatsoever. Azog also pushing through there. Volkmar's managed to terrify away this unit in the front line along with the Sigmar Sons, but he needs to be careful he doesn't overchase. Definitely needs to come collapse, start to roll up this flank here. Meanwhile, the other flank definitely getting rolled by the Greenskins here. These, yeah, the Empire Knights did not get a good engagement whatsoever in terms of completely missing their charges on both sides. Skulker's also going to move in here, probably drop a smoke bomb to keep those Empire Knights from being able to pull away. Azag drops in. He's taking some Spirit Leeches, or no, he's Spirit Leeching, rather, taking some shots from the bullets from these handgunners here, but the handgunners now being caught by the nasty Skulkers. Once again, they're going to be very effective in that role. Yeah, continuing to bog down those ranged units, and things are not looking great for Ice Power here. The troll rush on this flank just absolutely wrecking these knights, generating a ton of value there, basically paying for themselves right away. The Warlord's boys just staring at those flagellants for the time being, menacing them. A very nice banishment, though, absolutely wrecks those despicable lurkers, and that will help kind of stabilize this front here. It looks like a Net of Amantok on Azag as well. Because there's nothing pinning him on the ground, he should be able to get back up in the air. Yep, he pops back up in the air there, but he's going to eat all of the bullets right now, right to the face. Really not great. Wah was popped there, though, providing a nice little damage spike all across the battlefield there. All of these archers have been using their ammo as efficiently as possible. At least just using it is efficient, I should say. But yeah, now that the trolls have dealt with most of the mass here, they can start to blob up and deal with Volkmar or, you know, whatever other targets. Like I said, the best way of dealing with Volkmar is just to roll up his entire army, and that is definitely what's happening here. The Greenskins' heavy push on all fronts. Skulkers still intercepting those Empire Knights, trying their best to keep them down. Ooh, a nice reaction. Smoke Bomb 2 does debuff them heavily there. Likewise, the trolls pushing through with Bob in tow. Spider Riders going to be able to chase off these Empire Knights or whatever else. Honestly, the light cavalry just providing extra bodies, extra leadership debuffs from that attacked by ranged units penalty. Not quite full gobos, no. We've got some trolls and we've got some orcs, but it's definitely a nice mixed Greenskins list. Volkmar is still a terror in the night, though. You can see him terrifying away some of these lower tier Greenskins units, so definitely not completely over for the Empire, but with most of these ranged units being heavily pressured off the field, that will be it. And I think the mistake was definitely going with the static ranged units against Greenskins. They are a very aggressive rush faction. It can absolutely bog down those units very quickly. I mean, a good Net of Amantok, too, to try and take out the chariots, but I mean, the Wolf Chariots ended up paying for themselves by getting shot, which is not something you see every day. I mean, at least from Wolf Chariots. You see that by peasants, right? I mean, that's kind of the whole point of, like, a peasant mob. But yeah, rip Empire, boys. We've seen some Empire victories today. This is not one of them. At least we'll see. Not looking good right now. There's a handful of unbreakable troops making a stand here, but Bob and the Troll boys coming in, just absolutely stoning them. Kicking them in the face and all of that. Volkmar will roll through. He's going to unleash a banishment on top of these trolls. No, it looks like he goes for the Soulfire instead. Not going to do a lot. The missile and magic resistance applies to the Soulfire bombardment. And the wand now being popped. Troll's going to rush in on Volkmar, and that should be it. Yeah, there's just a handful of unbreakable troops there in the center. There's still some Flagellants and Empire Knights over here, though, still fighting. Oh, still a handful of Chariots back here, too. Look at that. Yeah, I like this Greenskins build quite a bit. Just balanced on all fronts, very powerful units. Haven't really seen many Greenskins lately for whatever reason, even though they're super, super strong right now. I guess people just kind of got sick of playing them. I don't really know, but let's see. I think they could probably take out Volkmar now if they really wanted to. Looks like Bob's going to get netted. Oh no, Bob's in danger. Trolls rush in to save him. Verona's Time Warp. Azag sweeping up and around for a rear charge. Nope. Nope, he's going to go after the caster instead. Definitely a good play. We'll get in close as the Stone Trolls start to manually dismantle the War Altar of Sigmar here.
Now we strike. Forward, man.
Got that one Flagellant right there. Ooh, it's getting chopped from all directions by boys. And he's gone. Azag charges in to deliver the final crushing blows to Volkmar, and that's it. Right? I love seeing Greenskin Tide builds like that. And against the Empire, couldn't be a more classic matchup. Just super awesome. Love to see that. Absolutely love to see that. As much as I hate to see the Empire get absolutely rolled, it is what it is. And again, what I was talking about with the ranged units, none of these ranged units really ended up paying for themselves at the end of the day. And would have been much better off to go with like Pistoliers or mobile skirmish units, even wagons, something that can continue to generate value while running away, because running away is totally valid against the Greenskins. Wicked is OP? Oh yeah. Definitely OP. So since we've had a couple drops, I'm going to go ahead and get one or two of our reserves in here. Let's go ahead and snag Gobbo Slayer. Yes, okay. Da, 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 da. Cool, so we'll get Gobble Slayer in here. Let's get Wicked up on the scoreboard. Nope. Beautiful. Love to see that Greenskins play. Yeah, Greenskins are probably my like third favorite faction. Like if it's Empire and then Bretonnia, sometimes those two flip-flop. Greenskins are definitely a close third, for sure. Absolutely. But, yeah, we'll probably have 2 more games, and then I've got to run. Got to get some stuff done today, so... Thank you all for coming out, though. It's been an absolute pleasure. Alright, let's go for the final map. Another one I've been on a bit of a kick recently, Mouth of the Pass. And I did find a mod that actually changes the starting units for Marcus's campaign, so I'm thinking I might actually retry that Marcus campaign that I started on the 4th of July, just because it went so terribly. I literally lost the campaign twice in one stream. So now that I found a mod that changes the starting units, like it gives you like a unit of Demigryph Knights at the start, it gives you like the Black Lions, ROR War Wagons at the start, just makes the beginning game a little bit faster, easier. Like I'm gonna go ahead and restart that Marcus campaign, maybe tomorrow. I haven't 100% decided yet, but we'll see. And I've also got some other campaigns planned. We'll see. Yeah, it was pretty embarrassing, not gonna lie. Campaign was a little bit of a disaster. It's all good, though. Alright, looks like we got Beastmen versus Dwarfs. Interesting. Okay. Should be very, very interesting. Kyrian full Anarian campaign, pick up the Sword of Cain and destroy the planet. That could be fun. That could be fun. You know, actually, getting the Sword of Cain with Nakai or any of the Horde factions is awesome. Like, if you get it with the Beastmen or with Nakai or with the Warriors of Chaos, oh man, it gets really good. It's really, really good. So, yep, after this game, we're probably going to have Red Legion, and then I think that'll probably be it for today. Yeah, like I said, I have to go do some things, so... Alright. Let's see here. Whoops, not that. Okay. Yeah. Being tied to that stationary artillery is really rough. That's why I like the mobile artillery so much for the Empires, because you're not quite so tied to one position. The steam tank... It's risky in that matchup. It can be very, very risky, but I'd have to check if the steam tank does enough missile damage that it might still... How much HP... Can someone check? Belcon, maybe you can check. How much HP per model? Or I guess I could look right here. How much HP per model do Stone Trolls have? Let me just give a think about this here. Greenskins, let's go with the stone trolls. So they have how much HP per model? Oh, they have like 500 almost health per entity. Okay, never mind. You can't... I was thinking that even with the missile resistance, after factoring in the missile resistance, maybe with Steam Tank, you would be able to actually one-shot their unit models, but it looks like their health is in fact high enough that that is not, unfortunately, possible once you factor in the missile resistance. They have like about 500, close to 500 health per model. So, yeah, they have around 500. Am I dropping frames? Don't be dropping. Okay, no, we're good. Yeah, so the Steam Tank does what, like 400 missile damage? And then... yeah, and after you factor in like the armor and armor piercing, even with something like a warrior priest standing there giving it fire damage and like a kindle flame, still don't think... maybe with the kindle flame it would be enough to one-shot models, but anyway. Yeah. Steam Tank's still going to be risky, but the fact that it's a mobile artillery piece, it's unbreakable, it causes terror, it's a chariot. Like, it's, in many ways, you don't have to allocate as much to try and protect it, and even on the flip side, it can help protect other units. And the fact that it's terror anti-infantry makes it good in many aspects against the Greenskins. I don't know. With Volkmar plus a Steam Tank, I don't know if you can really make that work. Maybe it's better to go Karl plus Steam Tank against the Greenskins, but yeah. Use Luminarch? Yeah. Luminarch will one-shot the unit models of the trolls. Does enough missile damage. I mean, although it is subject to both their missile and magic resistance, it's still, even about half damage, you're hitting for like close to 700 missile damage, I think, which is enough to kill them. And with Kindle Flame and other effects, too, you can kind of help juice that up a little bit. Oh, these guys are waiting on me. Okay. Yeah, you have missile units that aren't doing anything, and that's the nice thing, at least, about the Steam Tank, is that once it gets compromised, like, once your opponent's to you, it can still do work in melee, acting as a terror chariot, and, like, the steam gun will continue firing even while it's in melee, right? So, as opposed to other artillery pieces, once you do get inundated, it will still continue to generate value, plus... the crew doesn't get knocked out either, and that's kind of true. Black Lions can be very risky in that matchup because of the Greenskins' mobility, but if you can keep them free, they will shred Greenskins' infantry. Yeah, infantry skirmishers just are tough to make work against certain factions. Yeah, I actually like Pistoliers the best in that matchup, because they can fire while moving. But anyway, let's go ahead and have a look here. We've got cannons, 3 cannons for Gobbo Slayer, Master Engineer, Rune Lord, Longbeards, Dragonback Slayers, plenty of Gyrocopters, Flame Drake, and some Miners with Blasting Charges. For the Beastie Boys, let's have a look here. Looks like we've got double Cygor. What is this? Beast Lord? Morgur, probably. Malagor, actually, interesting. With a Shadow Chariot. No spells, just the Chariot. Goreherd with shields, Bestigor Herd, some Harpies. Ungors. Interesting stuff. The double Cygor build is potentially nasty here. Yeah, this is going to be fun. We'll see. We'll see double cannons, or triple cannons versus double Cygors, and you can see because of the slope here, I don't think these cannons actually have line of sight to be able to get volleys. Yeah, they reposition over here to try and get some kind of line of sight here, but this is an interesting map. Mouth of the Pass has some kind of undulated terrain here. There's a few impassable areas towards the back of the map over here, where you have kind of this little orc camp. Orky structures over here. Yeah, the thing about the best way of actually for Empire of dealing with the stone trolls is in melee, because you have the warrior priest that has Banner of Eternal Flame. Like, your missile units are subject to missile resistance, your magic damage is subject to the magic resistance, right? But fire physical melee damage bypasses all of that, and especially something like armor piercing demigryph knights, or like like a griffin lord like Carl. With that Banner of Eternal Flame, that extra damage is going to just absolutely wreck stone trolls. So you think about a build where you have like maybe even a 1400 unit of demigryph knights with a warrior priest with that Banner of Eternal Flame, then you also hit them with a cascading fire cloak, which gives them extra armor piercing damage, melee damage, and also procs Kindle Flame to give even more fire damage against the stone trolls. Like, for me, stone trolls, it's a little bit of a weird kind of psychology thing, right? Like reverse psychology, because you would think like, oh, trolls, best way of dealing with trolls is shooting them, when in fact, especially for the Empire, because you have that Banner of Eternal Flame and potent charge tools, the best way that I've found is charging them with fire damage and terror units and just doing, as much burst in that way in melee. Yeah, and not necessarily a demi blob, like even just one demi with the warrior priest and the fire mage can be enough. Yeah. Knights of the Blazing Sun even too, because they have such a high charge bonus, if you catch stone trolls on a clean charge, they will just annihilate them. It's going to be bad, but speaking of annihilation, these steam guns come forward and start to immediately kind of skirmish on those or herds. They get one immediate volley, take about 3 unit models out there, and then immediately have to flee from the harpies there. Looks like the harpies are also getting pelted by the cannons right out of the sky, which is nice to see. Gyrocopters are going to come back and try and get screened by the fire drakes, I would imagine. The fire drakes, actually, they have, it's from my experience at least, they have a hard time firing up into the air, but oh yeah, a few more harpies go down there. Cygors are coming forward. Cygors are going to be nasty against against the dwarfs, though. You can see they are within rock throwing range. I would imagine they're immediately going to, go right after the fire drakes here, as they are a pretty high value target, and like one hit will kill like half of the unit there. So those fire drakes need to get out of dodge. Gyros come back forward again for another timing push. Bit of a steam gun there. And the cannons now are focusing on the Cygor, which is obviously a good target. Another rock lands there. And the fire drakes are the only kind of ground counter skirmish unit, right? So no kind of crossbows or any other units like that to be able to push the harpies away. Fire does get flamed, thrown, so to speak, but not really going to do much. Fire drakes can destroy harpies, yeah, if they can get a hold of them, but right now it's not looking great. Another Cygor's been summoned by Malagor here. I think this might actually technically be a rule break. I'm not 100% sure, but some kind of buffs being used here. Ballistics calibration to improve the accuracy of all those cannons. They're really not doing much against the Cygors, though, unfortunately. Harpies are now rushing in. Fire drakes. Will they be able to fire up into the air? Right now, they're kind of all mixed in with these longbeards right here, so they can't actually fire. But yep. Iron drakes with blasting charges. What, like they just have a bucket of blasting charges? That would be cool. I think that'd be pretty cool. The fire drakes finally, though, were able to get some volleys to start to see off these harpies here. Some of the Beastmen infantry also came forward at this point. Going to be charging in, getting on these miners with blasting charges. The best score in particular, getting a really nice charge here, mostly uninterrupted. Just going to shred those dwarven infantry there. But the fire drakes are enough, even tattered as they are, to help see off those harpies. And the cannons are doing work. Keep in mind, if the cannons are, 2 versus 1 is an effective trade on the cannons, right? So if the cannons, the 3 of them can take out the 2 Cygors, that is a cost-effective trade in and of itself. But Alright, now the Beastmen infantry are also pushing, and they're going to be causing some problems here, as the Bestigor, you know, they're not really countered by any of the Dwarven infantry here, certainly. Yeah, we'll see. Gyros might need to come back and start supporting that infantry engagement, but one Cygor is just about down. Dwarfs keeping things respectable, helping to deal with those big monsters there. Fire Drake's also coming forward here. Let's see. This cannon somehow still online, point blank, with these Bestigor, who have actually taken quite a bit of damage from those Ekron's Miners. Ekron's Miners not complete pushovers, up to 40 melee attack there from something. Oh no, that was the Bestigor. Yeah, the Ekron's Miners have something. What? Some kind of melee attack there. I don't really know, but they're trading actually okay into the Bestigor herd is the point, because they are armor piercing damage and they're decent enough stats. They've managed to pull that engagement back somewhat. Here are these Dwarf Warriors, Longbeards rather, holding valiantly, trying to protect those cannons. Can they finish off the Cygor? Oh man. Oh, he's so low. 370 HP, and he is out of there. So one Cygor basically down. And, yeah, Ekron's Miners might actually end up winning this engagement, which is kind of crazy, but they're really not able to continue protecting these artillery pieces for much longer. A Grumbling Guard also have armor-piercing damage, Master Rune of Negation helping to tank them out. A little bit of friendly fire there from the Cygor, but yeah, the cannons getting compromised here is really not great. We'll see. It's still very close, honestly. Both players just completely slugging it out here, and it looks like the Bestigors are starting to run out of steam in many cases. Grumbling Guard's able to beat this unit down and now turn their attention to another. Fire Drakes getting inundated by the Harpies there. And yeah, this Bestigor relatively healthy, starting to clean up and clean through. Who's got one cannon crew offline. Let's see, this Cygor is also taking damage. The other Cygor just straight up... No, it's still alive. It's long gone, though. I think the Steam Gun's probably going to try and go finish it off there. There's some more Steam Guns way out in the distance returning now. But yeah, a lot of the Beastmen infantry giving up the fight. This flank is still pushing very aggressively, but the Grumbling Guard able to come in here and kind of counter a little bit. Hold up these Bestigor. The Bestigor with their charge bonus active are going to do a ton of damage, though. Bestigors are very much shock infantry. One of the few units in the game that I would classify that way. But right now, this Cygor's taking half HP damage. We'll see. It's still anyone's fight. The Dwarfs can keep these cannons online and finish off those Cygors. They'll probably... I don't know if they're going to win this infantry fight. This is it right here. This Bestigor unit versus the Grumbling Guard. The Grumbling Guard are struggling, but here comes the heroic presence of the Rune Lord. Able to get at least some staggers in there. Maybe a little bit of splash attack damage as well. The Chariot also rolling through that critical engagement. Harpies come through. Slayers a little bit out of position. They're going to swoop back in and try and protect those cannons as much as possible. The Steam Gun... Yeah, this Steam Gun wants to come forward and probably finish off this secondary Cygor if it can, but... Oh, that sucks. The other Gyro got dealt with, is getting chased off by Harpies now. Grumbling Guard still desperately fighting here against these Bestigor, but there's still a lot of Bestigor still fighting. Some of the Beastmen units are shattering, though, and like Slayers countercharging here against these Ungors. Oh, come on, Steam Gun, go finish off. Go finish off that other Cygor. He's so low, and he's still throwing rocks, which is really bad. You want to stop him from throwing rocks by routing him off as soon as possible, but instead, both of the cannons continue to focus on this other one here. They are, yeah, the Gyro's mostly ignoring that other Cygor. Oh man, but will it be enough? The Slayer's now moving in to help support the last of the Grumbling Guard against the Bestigor herd. That's a very desperate engagement, but Rune of Negation helps them from taking too much damage. Oh man, it's a serious friendly fire from the Cygors, absolutely shattering that unit of Ungors there. Likewise, the Harpies probably took some friendly fire on that as well. The Gyros come through. They're going to start dropping their bombs, I guess, on the Bestigor. That's not a bad play. It will shatter that unit, more or less. And I think the Dwarfs have got this now. They've resecured their cannon position. Despite the fact both the Cygors are still throwing rocks, they should be able to deal with them. Oh man, like one volley, please, though, on this other Cygor and just finish it off, man. Come on. The runes, let's not discount this this engineer here. Let's check in. How many kills does he actually have? 48 kills. He's still very healthy, and you see how he's popping shots on that single entity chariot there, continuously pressuring that. Oh man, that's good stuff. Oh yeah, here we go. Dwarfs in a decisive lead. That headshot there finishes off the Cygor right in the eye. And now there's just this guy left, throwing rocks at the Dwarfs in the distance, but it's not going to be enough. Malagor as well, making his way back over towards the Dwarven defensive position. But the Engineer continuing to use his little lever action deal. I love his rifle for some reason. It's so cool. Little lever action carbine. I don't know if it's actually lever action, but looks like it could be. And that's it. Cygor is going to get pelted a few more times probably and give up the fight. Let's see. Oh yeah, right in the belly. And that's enough. Maybe. Yep, there goes Malagor. Wow, GG, man, GG. Very, very thematic dwarf build there. Holding until the end, protecting the guns until the last. A very, very close battle. The best score were able to come in and clean up a ton of kills, but it wasn't quite enough. And I have to say, MVPs definitely, these Ekron's Miners did a lot better than I was expecting, especially after the charge bonus wore off. The Grumbling Guard utilizing their armor-piercing damage, racking up 99 kills, mostly against best score, 109 kills for the Dragonback Slayers as well. The cannons continuing to pound the Cygors relentlessly the entire time. So yeah, good stuff. The Fire Drakes, despite the fact they got wrecked early on, were still able to clean the Harpies on that pretty key engagement there. And just great stuff. GG all around indeed. So we've got one more here. We'll get Red Legion in for our final game, but man, we've had some really, really awesome epic games today, guys. Thank you so much for all the competitors who've joined, all of you guys for watching. It's been a blast, absolute blast. So I'll be right back. I'm going to go get something started in the meantime, and I'll join you in just a moment. Okay, alright, alright. Yeah, Beastmen definitely punish you playing too spread out. That is true. Mini Boris! Oh, probably should change the map also. Let's go ahead and get this. MP Peak Pass. No. Yep, Peak Pass. No, that one's too big. Let's go for... let's do... Stallion Tomb. That's a nice small map. Let's actually, just kidding. I decided I don't like this map anymore, and we're gonna do Plane of Spiders instead. Yeah, let's do this one. Oh yeah, Mini Boris, so good here. Okay, okay. Let's see what these guys can do. Wood Elves versus Empires, pretty interesting, all things considered. Wood Elves generally tend to skew pretty heavily into Way Watchers here, obviously. And it's really about the Empire, like what can you do to counter them? Okay, yeah, sorry, just getting distracted by some things here. Hopefully y'all are doing well. It's been a great day doing the stream so far. Yeah, no one was able to get more than 2 wins, which is interesting here. A lot of cutthroat back and forth type games, a lot of really competitive play. So happy about that. What's up, Thomas? Let's see what these guys can do. You can rush straight in. It's very tricky though, because you might just get run over by knights like immediately. That can happen. All right. Let's have a look at what these guys are doing here on this Dark Elf Desert map, Plane of Spiders. And in terms of builds here, we'll go ahead and silence the Med2 music. Thank you very much. Wood Elves. We've got a Glade Lord, Wild Riders with shields, plenty of... Ooh, is this an all Vanguard? Mostly, actually. Dryads, Wild Riders, couple Sisters of Thorn, the Dragon, Glade Lord, actually, with the Helm of Discord. Very interesting. Spellsinger, Lord of Life. As for the Empire, we've got 4 Huntsmen. Yep. Some Spearmen, Sigmar's Sons, Outriders with Grenade Launchers, some Empire Knights. And over here on the side, we've got Boris and Mini Boris. No, Volkmar and Mini Boris, plus a Bright Wizard on foot. So yes, in case you guys are wondering, this is Mini Boris right here. Where'd it go? Empire Captain. Oh yeah. I love the giant shields on these guys. Look at the designs too. Oh yeah. It's golden sword too. Plate armor. He really should be wearing his visor down, but that's fine. Along with the floppy hat lads. Ooh, Knights of the Blazing Sun in the back. Very nice. Oh, a little bit of lag here. Oh, yeah. Honor and dignity. Oh, yeah. Sol Invictus. These shields, man. Oh, so cool. Alright, alright. Let's see what these guys can do. Let's see what these guys can do. Huntsmen here with their hats also. Some of them got these little leather helmets. Little head caps. Little padded gambesons they got on. Pretty neat. And right off the bat, you can see here that the Empire is very confused, sensing there is something very, very wrong here. They're going to go check down on this hill, but instead, the entire Wood Elf force is here, hidden in the woods, obviously. And here they come, rushing out of the woods, going to reveal themselves immediately. Unfortunately, they did not really get that great of an ambush here, but they will be able to come out and start to deal with, like, these grenade launchers, for example. This is a really nice counter-skirmish opportunity for the Sisters of Thorn here. They do need to be careful not to take grenades to the face, but they can deal a lot of damage to those grenade outriders. So, yep. Both armies kind of squaring up here. And we'll see. Gobble Slayer probably doesn't want to just take this straight up. Definitely, in fact, does not want to take this and just straight up. We'll see. He does gonna have a hard time dealing with Volkmar. Excuse me. A little bit of a stretch there. Yeah. Getting tired, guys. Gotta stand up for a while after this one. Go do a run or something. I don't know. But yeah, Dragon maneuvering out to the side here. You can see the Wild Riders also pressing this flank. The Knights of the Empire will kind of come over to mirror there. I'm not really sure. Dryads could just rush straight in here. And obviously Volkmar will be a hard counter for the Dryads, being anti-infantry and fire damage. But Arrows of Kurnos? Nope, looks like maybe just a ranged attack of the Glade Lord, rather, was perhaps going to be used there, but in fact it is not. So we'll kind of just continue to wait here as both players reposition. It's going to be a long one. It did feel as good as it sounded, for sure. And it looks like the Empire is starting to pressure with their ranged units, so the Wood Elves can't just dance around forever. There's the Fireball being used there. And looks like probably the Dryads are just going to go straight in, maybe try and overpressure on this side. But basically the idea here is to try and dive in with the Glady on the Knights, and to use that Helm of Discord to really, really good effect. But the Spearmen are going to be engaged by Dryads here. Pretty good stuff. Huntsman sweeping up. And, oh man, those grenade launchers doing a ton of damage to those Dryads right off the bat. Knights getting a nice charge in here, but it looks like all the Wood Elf cavalry is there to respond, basically. And the dragon himself swoops down. Nice Shield of Thorns as well to give some extra physical resistance and weapon damage to all of these units here as they fight the Knights. The Knights are just going to continue charging through, though. You can see here these Wild Riders now have a charge on the Huntsmen in the backline. They do have to be careful. The Empire Knights are here, though, and Volkmar also counters to get in on the side there. Oh, man, that's devastating for them. They did not get their charge on the Empire Knights, and Volkmar able to support very well here. They did deal with this one unit of Knights, though. They are basically completely done. The Curse of Honor already having been popped, though, and Earthblood and Shield of Thorns. These Wild Riders really just need to pull out of this engagement and not take it, but here comes the Helm of Discord. And another unit of Sisters of Thorn able to sweep up and around the side. Meanwhile, the Dryads are doing enough, as well as the Spellsinger here doing enough to kind of keep some of these other units busy for the time being. Outriders with Grenade Launchers going to try and push through and hold, but man, look at this push. Very, very aggressive as the Empire Knights one by one are dealt with. All of this Dark Elf Cavalry, or Wood Elf Cavalry rather. Oh man, nice Burning Head, gets some damage in, but most of the Cav, Reindeer Cav able to avoid. Here comes Sisters of Thorn as well, getting a great rear charge on all these units, kind of blobbed up around the Spellsinger there, and things are looking a little rough for Red Legion right off the bat. These range units are mostly getting compromised here. Volkmar, though, is still being completely healthy, and a lot of these Wild Riders, oh man, that's almost got chased off the map there. That is unfortunate for the Empire. The Wild Riders are still able to operate, but Spellsinger's taking quite a bit of damage in response, and likewise the the mobility of the Wood Elves has taken some heat also. We'll see. Definitely anyone's game still at this point. Knights of Blazing Sun coming over and absolutely crushing those Dryads. Most of the Dryads are completely done already, as to be expected. They really don't hold up well at all in this matchup because of those Knights of Blazing Sun and other various, fire effects. Volkmar does fire damage, like I mentioned. But let's see. These Wild Riders, do they have an actual charge order on those Knights of the Blazing Sun? Regardless, they're going to get charged by the Knights of the Blazing Sun, which is an absolute disaster by then. Raid Legion able to kind of stabilize things a little bit here, start to reunify some of his units. Meanwhile, Gobble Slayer is kind of getting a little bit spread out in the meantime. His units kind of getting scattered to the winds, so to speak, but he is chasing a lot of routing units off the field, which is important. Now, when you're playing outnumbered like this, you definitely want to continuously pressure and make sure you chase units off whenever you can. Get rid of those numbers. Try and even things out a bit. Let's see. As it stands, a little bit of a nice Earthblood there, unifying all those units, catching all of them with the Earthblood. Volkmar able to come in, do some magic damage to these Sisters of Thorn. They definitely want to try and pull away, but Volkmar needs to be careful not to separate himself too much from the rest of the army here. These Knights of the Blazing Sun, if they get surrounded and multi-charged by Wild Riders from different directions, especially with the Helm of Discord active, they're going to get taken out, and that will be a big loss for the Empire, losing that mobility, obviously. But we'll see. Volkmar at this point is pretty far out of position. He's still got plenty of supporting infantry as well. But this is bad here, potentially. You can see these Knights of the Blazing Sun. They're not going to get the charge on the Wild Riders. Oh, no, they do countercharge here. Excellent. They're still heavily outnumbered here, though, but they are going to do a lot of shock damage to that first Wild Rider, especially on the charge. Lighting up for a Burning Head as well. Nice Overcast Burning Head does some pretty solid damage. I actually don't know. I don't think that was Overcast. But regardless, the Helm of Discord allows these Wild Riders to win pretty decisively here. Mini Boris also is getting eaten alive by the Glade Lord here on the Dragon. Yeah, that heavy armor piercing damage just wrecking him super quickly. So Wood Elves again able to pick away one of those key kind of win condition type units. Now it's a matter of cycle charging out the rest of this infantry and, isolating Volkmar, right? So, cavalry are going to pull away. There are still some Empire Knights here. Those Knights of Blazing Sun were straight up shattered, though. Will the Dragon be able to get back up in the air? That is the question. At this point, it's having a little bit of an issue disengaging. Volkmar is able to kind of get some rear charges here. But looks like they are back. Now chasing these Huntsmen off. Very good stuff. A little bit of a heal there. Wild Riders got a couple of XP chevrons already. But, yeah. Knights of Blazing Sun, Empire Knights coming down here to try and face these Sisters of Thorn. The Sisters of Thorn yeah, gonna get the support of the dragon directly in melee. There's not really a lot of, like, burst DPS to threaten the dragon here, so it can act pretty aggressively in this manner to try and take out those Empire Knights. Now, Wild Riders and other units also rear charging. Very nicely done, taking out the enemy mobility so that the Reindeer Cavalry are free to cycle charge. It looks like Shield of Faith and Hammer of Sigmar are not quite enough to save those Empire Knights in time, but a Banishment also being used here to try and finish off some of these light cavalry. And the Soulfire, oh man, this is going to be a nasty Soulfire right here. It's got a lot of the Wood Elf Cav in range. That does some pretty decent damage there. And likewise, the Glade Lord also being completely surrounded. Volkmar juicing up all these units with the extra melee attack. There's not a whole lot of armor on the Glady, so that she's actually taking a lot of damage from those Empire State Troop Spearmen. What is that? A Flaming Sword of Ruin as well to give magic damage, I think, also? No, there's no actual Flaming Sword of Ruin. Okay. The Glady being routed here is an absolute disaster, as the Wood Elves are very quickly going to approach critical army losses. The Glade Lord, rather, needs to deal with Volkmar himself, but all that damage being taken is really, really bad. I think there's still some healing, though, with the Spellsinger being alive. The Glade Lord can get some healing, get back in this fight. Some more rear charges from these Wild Riders on those Empire Knights there. And, yeah, you've got to start directly charging Volkmar now so that he can't charge you in the side. A little bit of a breath attack there. Going to not do a whole lot of damage, honestly. A little bit limp, but it does manage to rout those spearmen at the very least. And now, now comes the decisive Helm of Discord charging onto Volkmar. These other Wild Riders come to stop the supporting infantry. And let's see. Sisters of Thorn also charge in. Here comes the Spellsinger. I think this is probably enough to deal with Volkmar, or at the very least finish off these supporting elements, but no, Volkmar is holding somehow like an absolute champion here, and the Bright Wizard also being very key in helping to support this leadership. Another heroic presence also, but yeah, Wild Riders now chasing those routing units, those Huntsmen getting zoned out of position. Cycle charge from the Glady, or the Glade Lord rather, just so used to saying Glady. Blade Lord is pretty real at this point, but he's also taking hits. Look at that, a hit from the Bright Wizard there, and Shield of Thorns. Oh man, the Bright Wizard gets kind of hit by that animation and mauled out of position. Let's see. Now the Spellsinger looks like she's going after the Bright Wizard. That'll be a nice way of dealing with him. Sisters of Thorn coming in once again with their Shield of Thorns. And honestly, these two Wild Riders probably could peel and go after the last remaining Spearmen there. But Volkmar rallying his Spearmen once again. They're coming back in the fight, and that Soulfire actually does good damage to Sisters of Thorn. Nice VTOL breath attack on Volkmar. Again, though, I probably would have used those Wild Riders to try and charge these spears here. They do have Hammer of Sigmar active on this spear, but nice cycle charge here. We'll finally be able to deal with the Spellslinger. One last banishment as well. Gonna pressure the cavalry away. And will that be enough? Man, Volkmar's actually hitting this Glade Lord because he has magic damage and fire damage. Not really super pertinent, but the magic damage at the very least. And anytime he gets Kindle Flame as well, is Volkmar actually going to beat the Glade Lord on the dragon here? Oh man, the Glade Lord actually routs. That's an absolute disaster. The Spellsinger still alive, can maybe give him a little bit more healing to keep him in the fight, but this is very, very close to critical army losses here. Yep, the last of the cavalry, Reindeer Cavalry, routing away, and that is going to be army losses. So an absolute nail-biter. Super, super good game in that and there. And how about Volkmar beating... oh man, Volkmar beating the Glade Dragon in melee. It was some really nice RNG there at the end. That was a super good game, though. Credit to both players there, both playing to the absolute wire. Wild Riders, maybe if they would have got a charge on that, instead of getting Soulfire there at the end, peel out, go get those very tattered spears and finish them off. Maybe, just maybe then he would have had enough to isolate Volkmar and finish him off, but even still, I mean, Volkmar with that RNG killing the Glade Lord would still have caused the rest of the Wild Riders to rout. So what a finish, man, what a finish. Blessed by Sigmar indeed. Holy cow, guys. Wow, just wow. Woo, man. What a game. that's going to be it for me for today, but wow, thank you all so much. That was incredible. Incredible. Oh yeah, valuable 16 kills for the mini Boris there. OP, absolutely. Big thanks to all you guys for coming out. I'm going to be trying to stream more often since Turin is, in surgery, out of commission. I'll try and fill in for him, not that I'm a proper replacement, but as much as I can, while he's out of commission. So we'll probably be doing this, I don't know about daily, but at least every other day, if not daily. So be excited about that. I'm still going to be releasing videos, of course, as well. Probably won't have one today. I don't know, maybe I'll have one later this evening. But regardless, big thanks once again to all of you. Yep. GG. If for whatever reason you're not subscribed, be sure to do so. Thanks again.